Hey guys, welcome to this week's astrology and tarot forecast for the week of Monday, June 13th through Sunday, June 19th. And I think overall this is going to feel like a really, really good week. However, there may be it's kind of like this feel of like having a tag, on the back of your shirt that is just kind of like irritating a little bit. There is going to be a part of us that can't quite fully enjoy like the goodness that's coming to us this week. But overall, just thinking about how difficult the past couple years have been, the past couple of months, I think this is going to be a week where we get to breathe a little bit, we get to enjoy life, and really feel like we know where we're going. I feel like this full moon in Sagittarius is giving us a sense of certainty, of knowing what we want, and really putting away our doubts and our fears. Um, and we might have to actually, well, I'll get into it this week. We may have to like pull back the reins. We have that Venus and Taurus on the North Node, which is going to make us like extra hungry for pleasure. And we have Saturn squaring that. So it might make us a little cutthroat. But I think that Saturn squaring the Venus could be a good thing. So overall, I think we're going to have a pretty good week. I'm going to get into each day of the week, the transits for the week, what each day is going to feel like, so that as you're navigating the week, as you're having these emotional ups and downs, or you're just like, what's up with this day, or this day feels really good, I'm going to give you a heads up on that. If you don't know me yet, my name is Valentine Lister, and I'm a professional astrologer and tarot card reader. So on this channel, I do this forecast every week to navigate you through the week, to help you keep your sanity, to give you a reality check of like, is this just happening with me, or is this just like the energy is happening overall? I also teach about tarot cards and astrology. I'm going to be starting to teach about astrology this week. I'm super excited. On Wednesday, I will be releasing my first video on the moon. So actually, I won't have this card in the video, but the mythology of the moon. So I'm going to start teaching astrology through mythology. So astrology, mythology, or mythology for astrology, because I think it's so important to know about the stories that were in the culture surrounding what the planets mean. Like when you look in an astrology chart, all you see is a bunch of symbols. But back in the day, they told these really cool stories to explain these big spiritual concepts. And so I'm bringing it back. So check that out. That's coming out. I believe it's Wednesday, June 15th is my first video on that, and I'll be releasing them weekly. Anyway, so without further ado, let's get into this week's forecast. Okay, so for Monday, June 13th, I'm feeling like it's a good time to have a good time overall. I think this will be a great day because we're going to ignore our problems. I pulled death reversed for today, but that's not the only reason. So looking at the transits for the day, we have the moon in Sagittarius, which is moving towards that full moon, which we're going to have tomorrow. And we have, so that is going to be a feel good energy. We just have this nice aspect between Jupiter and the moon. And then later in the day, we have the moon trine Mars. So it's like fun action that's emotionally fulfilling, that feels good to us. And I can imagine that because, okay, so early in the day, we may feel like things are dragging, like we have our foot stuck in the mud, and we want this like, it's like this weightiness of wanting to make plans to feel comfortable, comforted. I've been feeling extra hungry with this Mercury in Taurus. And so we may feel this like push and drive towards like getting pleasure, but our plans like don't quite like fit the bill because we have Saturn squaring that Mercury. And Saturn square Mercury, I feel like is a little bit different than Saturn square Venus. I think Venus and Saturn do have like a nice relationship with each other. Saturn is exalted in Libra. It does well in Taurus. And Venus in Taurus, I think, is okay with taking its time to get comfort and pleasure. So I'm going to talk more about that for this week, like later on in the week. But when it aspects Mercury, it's really hard because Mercury is more of a lighthearted energy. It adjusts and adapts adapts to whatever's going on to solve problems. And in Taurus, it can be very particular. It can be slow moving. It can want what it wants. But I feel like the energy has been extra weighty. It's been extra hard to be able to make plans or to have things go the way we want, to be comforted. We're like extra hard on ourselves with being able to do things with that Saturn square Mercury. And I know it was extra hard when we had the Mercury retrograde going back into Taurus. Like I remember the first couple weeks, you might remember the first couple weeks of May, we had Mercury in Gemini, and it was like, oh, things are so easy. It's so easy to do things. And why was I giving myself such a hard time? And everything just like kind of like fell into place, I felt like. And then it retrograded back into Taurus, and I wanted to cry. And it was like, I broke so many things. I broke like a picture frame. I tried to do a video. I had to refilm it like 3 times. I wanted to cry. I wanted to take a nap, but I didn't have time to take a nap. I wanted to eat something comforting, but I'm trying to lose weight. So we've been going through those kinds of things, and we might have those things happen a little bit on Monday where it's extra intense. Now, Mercury isn't retrograde, so it is not quite the same thing as what I'm talking about. But it's still like this intensity towards like we want to make plans for pleasure or have our plans like for comfort go smoothly, but they don't go smoothly. And part of it is also maybe we're digging our heels in and being particular about what we want, and we're going to continue to do that. But that's been hard on like how we feel and our mental health and our temperament, that kind of thing. But then midday Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have Mercury go into Gemini, and it's like we can think again. Things are easy again. They're flowing, and I think we're going to be in the moment. And I think it's like I took it as kind of a distracted, like lighthearted energy per se. Like we're going to do things to forget about our problems, to forget about like the major changes that have been happening. So I got that. But also with this death card, what I was thinking is like, I was like, no, wait, we are ready to make changes in our lives. Like been going through huge transitions, like when it comes to our relationship, the way we value ourselves, the way we, seek out things like for security, for money or jobs or our friendships, like romance, like physical pleasure, even the way we treat our bodies, like all of those things I think we've been working on, and we're ready for the change, but we can't quite make it. Like things were getting in our way in being able to do that. And I think we are going to have that on Monday a little bit, like especially early in the day. But then I think there's going to be a shift when we have Mercury going into Gemini, and then we have the moon trine Mars. I think we are going to like, I don't know, just like be able to go full speed ahead, and it feels really good and it feels emotionally fulfilling. Like we can propel ourselves forward and start making those changes that we wanted to make, but we were slowed down. We couldn't quite move forward. And again, part of it is we do have a particular way of the way we want things. But now that Mercury is in Gemini, we're like, you know what? Why was I thinking that way? Why was I thinking I could only be happy with this person or this job, or if I do, or if I have this type of food, or if I just do like things, like if I plan things out this way? It's like, but I can just shift things and do it this way and experiment. And like that really feels good, and that even feels better. So why was I like so up in my head about things? Okay, and then on Tuesday, June 14th, we have that full moon in Sagittarius, and it's going to feel damn good. Damn good. It's like now we know what we want. We know how to get it. And so I pulled the High Priestess for that day, and she's the moon. And so it's this day where we're going to feel comforted and nurtured and feel like we can really embrace life. Like we're in this experience. We don't know why we're here. It is a huge mystery, but we're enjoying the experience and finding that light and that comfort. It's like this huge nurturing energy on Tuesday. And just feeling like this inner light and this, Yeah, this like nurturing, like caring energy, I feel like that day, but also like super motivated and emotionally fulfilling. And the one thing um, is that one of the big things is that we have so many planets in their own domicile. So we have Mercury in Gemini, we have Mars in Aries, we have Venus in Taurus, we have Saturn in Aquarius. And even though we have the Moon and Jupiter in like different sign, like they're not in their homes, but they actually see each other. There's mutual reception going on between Jupiter and, well, actually, that's not, sorry, that's not mutual reception, my bad. But the planets can see each other, right? So the moon is in Sagittarius. It can see that Jupiter in Aries, and it's a smooth, easy relationship. Um, and yeah, so that's like very feel good. And then Mars is in Aries. Sorry, I'm like confused. Like, sorry, I messed up there, but whatever. I'm gonna go with the flow because it's okay. It's okay. Um, and so it's like different from in the new moon when it was in Gemini. It was like I felt like we had this idea of where we wanted to go, but Mercury wasn't in its own home. So it's like we've had to do all of this exploration, and like even though like some of these planets have been in domicile, and you know, like in some ways we've gotten what we want, we couldn't quite see like the plan of where to go, but now we can see it. Now we're coming full circle, and that moon is supported by like that Jupiter in Aries, which is super spontaneous and fun. And it's like, let's go for it. And it has this feistiness and aggressiveness, but it's in a really purposeful way and in a really fun way. And so I think also, we also have the moon sextiling Saturn. So I feel like we're going to be able to structure what's emotionally fulfilling to us. We're going to be able to put structure to that, and it's going to feel fulfilling. So again, the new moon, we were feeling a little bit lost when we got to that first quarter moon in Virgo. We had that tension of like we were trying to figure out a plan but couldn't quite do it, and we were getting like really, like we were like criticizing, we were just getting anxious or like feeling like really irritated. But now we're not having that. Now I feel like we're having this like full release of I know what I want, I know how to get it, and I'm going for it, and nothing's stopping me. The only caveat to that is that we have that Venus in Taurus. It's conjuncting the North Node. And I think that's just representing the pinnacle of like this push to just finally feel a sense of joy, a sense of comfort, a sense of pleasure, a sense of release. It's kind of like, when are we going to feel good? And that was like my forecast, like for the year, if you saw the yearly forecast, like when are we finally going to feel good? Is there going to be a time? And I think today is the start of that time. But we do have to watch out for like just this week as Venus hits the North Node. Like there is this sense of like cutthroat energy, like we really don't care what we're doing anymore. And maybe that's why we feel good. I feel like a lot of times as someone like I have a lot of empathy for people, and that can definitely get in the way of enjoying things because I'm always like feeling sorry for feeling good or that other people don't feel good. And maybe that's not empathy. Maybe that's like huge codependence and it's super unhealthy, and we have to look at that. Maybe we just need to worry about ourselves and how we feel, and we can always help people out as like situations come up. But if we have people that are like jealous of our pleasure, don't let us pursue the things that we love, that we pursue with our hearts. If people always want us to feel sorry for them and help them, like, no, bye. And so I think that's actually the energy that we're having, and it's going to feel good. And I do feel like that's the energy because we're gonna feel, I feel like this sense of like an emotional high, like during this full moon. But then the moon is going to go in those last degrees of Mars. So maybe we are looking at those questions of like other people don't support us, like other people haven't been supporting us the way that they need to. And in a couple hours, like later in the day, we have moon going into Capricorn. So I don't know. Sometimes when the moon goes in the last degrees, we can feel emptiness, but that's usually like the moon can go in the last degrees where it's Saturn, and that's loneliness and isolation. But in Sagittarius, the last bound of Sagittarius is in Mars, and I feel like we're going to feel angry about people not being there the way they need to be there for us, and not like stepping up the way that they need to step up to show us our value and our worth. And so we're going to be like, it's time, bitch. It's time, because the moon is going into Capricorn and it's making a nice trine to Venus. So I think because of that, the moon is going to feel like pretty good. I feel like with the planets in Taurus, um, and with Venus in Taurus, the moon in Capricorn hasn't felt as bad. Sometimes that moon in Capricorn can feel extra bad, extra bad, because it's the moon. It's like rigidness. It can't move around. There's like a stagnancy, like, and it is us having to go on our own and not really have the nurturing and the comfort that we really need, and having to be responsible for everybody else. But I feel like there's a good selfishness happening like with this energy, where we're going to demand our value and our worth, and we're just going to worry about ourselves, and it's going to be good, and it's going to be good for us, because I think a lot of us, especially like if you're the type of person that's watching this reading, like we're giving too much of our energy to other people, and people are sucking us dry, and that's part of why we haven't been able to experience pleasure. And I think part of it is also we've been holding out for a good thing. We're like, no, we want something better. And so we haven't been settling for things that really don't serve us. Yeah. And so I think that energy like continues for Wednesday, June 15th. Like, we have the moon squaring Jupiter. And I think it is about that. Like, show me my values, show me my worth. And if you can't help me out, get the fuck out of my way. If you can't give me what I want, like, I have no business with you. I'm just going to do what I love, what I enjoy. I'm going to do it the way I want, and I'm going to play around. I'm going to play whatever games I want, and I'm not going to feel bad about it anymore. I think there is a guiltless energy, and I felt like this week, one of the things is like you might be a little bit heartless, and that's going to feel good. But, the only warning is like, gotta watch that Venus in Taurus. I was thinking about like Hitler, and a lot of dictators have Venus placements and Venus in Taurus. Um, and, so there is this thing about like, like that cutthroat energy of we might go too far with like hurting anybody we feel like to get what we want, especially we have Mars in Aries. So that gives us an extra aggressiveness and extra hostility, the ability to get into fights very easily, and hot-headedness. And, and also like Mars is not seeing Venus. So they're not necessarily working together, although the moon is squaring Mars. So there is going to be this like emotional feistiness, like give me what I want. This intense drive again towards pleasure. Like we're putting down the burden of other people. And so I'm saying to watch for that. I'm just saying observe. I think go for it, because I really do think that we've been caring too much about like what other people think and making other people happy. And I think that is a real like problem in our culture, of this like of sympathy and even sometimes empathy. Like it can be weaponized against people, like people who care, it can be weaponized. So, like you could make a healthy decision to cut off a relationship from someone who did something like super messed up, or leaving a job that was super toxic and the boss expected you to work all the time. They didn't want to compensate you. Maybe they put you in unsafe situations, and you're like, no, this is not going to work for me. I shouldn't be treated this way, right? And you set a boundary and you step away. And then that person guilts you. It's like, well, what am I going to do? I don't know how I'm going to I don't know how I'm going to move on. I thought you loved me. I thought you were there for me, like, or at a job, like, how are we going to find another person? We're really short staffed. And so instead of acknowledging that they weren't like doing what they needed to do to value you, to make you feel safe, to make you feel nurtured, comforted, to compensate you, and to make the relationship fair, they're making excuses for why like they can't function. And I feel like that's too bad for them now. And we're seeing it's too bad for them now. And there's nothing holding us back from just feeling a sense of completeness, wholeness, of feeling good. And there may be an aspect where, um, like I said, like that tag on the clothing, we're feeling a little irritated. We might not feel a complete sense of comfort, but I'm feeling like part of what's holding us back is that we're moving towards something new because we have Saturn in Aquarius. And so when we think of structure and restrictions, like we're moving towards something new that we haven't done before, and that can feel uncomfortable. So that's why, Saturn squares Venus, because Venus and Taurus is all about like what's comforting and what are our go-to things to have comfort and pleasure and value and money and friendships and relationships that we can rely on, people that we like around us. Um, and so it is something new. Like we're not quite there yet. And so I feel like that is going to be something that affects our ability to really like feel fully complete and good. But I think otherwise we're feeling fine and just like moving towards like that day. I feel like more like physical security and comfort and pleasure and like not worrying about, I don't think it's like a work energy so much. I really think we're just going to enjoy the energy that we have. All right, and then for Thursday, June 16th, I think we're continuing to take what we want. We're getting it. We still have the moon in Capricorn trining that Venus. Um the thought came to my head. It was like this like person, like I don't know, it was like, someone comes to us, like complains, and we're like, did I say that I cared about what you thought? No, I really didn't. Like, go away. Um, we're like taking what we want, our ideas, our desires, they become a priority and it feels really good. It's good for us. It's good for us to feel a little bit cutthroat, a little bit selfish, but there's also this playfulness, this fun energy of like messing with people because we have that Mercury in Gemini. And even Venus and Taurus can be like playful. She's related to playful teasing and a little gossip. But we're also feeling good and feeling purposeful about cutting cords, getting up in people's faces, fighting it out with people. We're not afraid to do that with Mars in Aries, Jupiter in Aries, and it is purposeful. It's for a reason, like I talked about for yesterday. And we're okay being in our emotions. I got the Two of Swords reversed, and I think that's about like we're not worried about being objective or being fair. We're okay with being in our emotions on Thursday. We're okay with being in our bodies and just doing what feels good to us. And we're okay with not like we're okay with stepping away from the idea of what feels good. And maybe like we could have a little bit up in our head thinking, but I'm not, no, I don't think so. Because we have air energy. Sometimes that can be up in our heads. But because these air signs are in domicile, and they're good at navigating what they need to do, I don't think we're going to have as much of a problem with that, although you may have a very active mind. But you'll be able to act on it. I feel like we have Mars making a nice aspect to Saturn, so plans, and even Venus there with Saturn, like structuring things that we want to do. Um, yeah, and so, oh, it was the thing of like we have Venus in Taurus, right? And she's trining the moon, and it's kind of like the difference between thinking what's going to feel pleasurable and actually like feeling what feels pleasurable and doing what feels pleasurable and being grounded in our body. I can relate to this because I have like Venus in Capricorn, so it's a very earthy sign. And it's like and I think Venus and Taurus is similar, where it's like you could read these advice columns on like what men like in the bedroom. This is example, right? I used to like watch like what men like in the bedroom, or what my friends would say men like in the bedroom, and I'd be like, huh, that feels a little different from like what I observed and what I felt like feels good in the bedroom. And basically, it's a difference between we put on a show of what we think it should be pleasurable or be respectable or just what should be pleasurable. Um, and then we actually like know what feels pleasurable. And so because the thing is, like a lot of the advice was like, okay, this is like, like it's almost like your appearance will make the experience pleasurable, or if you do a certain technique, it's going to feel pleasurable, and that like has some validity to it, of course. But in at the end of the day, what really makes the bedroom pleasurable is like feeling good in the bedroom, knowing what kind of touch and what kind of things make you feel good in in the body and is going to make you climax. And so the biggest thing, like for your partner to feel pleasure, is to see you feel pleasurable and see you enjoy the experience. So I think there is this like genuineness of feeling pleasure in the experience and not trying to be any idea of what other people like think we should be. But we do have a very particular way of like what we find pleasurable that is holding us back. We do have a particular picture with that Saturn square Venus. But the Saturn square Venus is nice because number one, it's helping us not go too far because we do have Venus on the North Node, and that could be this insatiable hunger for pleasure. And we probably will feel that. We have been feeling that. Um, and so that insatiable hunger with the North Node can make us go too far, but Saturn is like, pump the brakes. Like you might go Hitler mode or go too far or like demolish people or like just do things that are really messed up in pursuit of pleasure. So we are thinking about it and taking our time and slowing down to really get what's going to make us feel valuable and worthy when it comes to our relationships, comfort items, and pleasure. Oh, and like later in the day, we do have the moon going into Aquarius. And I do think it's going to be more of a free-flowing, fun, like social energy because we have Mercury trining that moon, Mercury and Sun trining that moon. So even though it's with Saturn, I feel like we're going to feel more productive. I don't think it's going to feel as harsh of an energy. Sometimes with the moon and Saturn, we can feel super restricted. Things can feel harsh, but it is squaring Venus. So I think overall it's going to be, it's going to be more of like a fun energy and maybe more like getting into that energy like I was talking about where we're very particular about what we want and maybe we feel held back by that or held back by like actual rules or restrictions that are going on around us. Okay, then for Friday, June 17th. So we now have like the disseminating moon in Aquarius going on, and that's where we like share what we've learned. And it's like, oh, we had this insight from this full moon, which was like super fun. Like we know what we want, we know what we believe in, we know where we want to go, and now we share this information. And so it's in Aquarius, the moon is in Aquarius, and so it's like, let me give you a piece of my mind and like it. So Aquarius can be kind of a harsh energy, like let me tell you what I think, and it can come across like we can cut people down with words. But when Saturn is in Aquarius, we have the moon there, we're also willing to hear other people and have maybe a nurturing aspect about it with the moon there, with being able to take in others' ideas and be okay with it. It's kind of like this playful banter or fighting. Like I was thinking like playful and compassionate, like sparring, like we're fighting each other, but it's just for fun. And even that feels good. And we're also feeling a sense of like no shame because we're focused on like getting what we want, getting to the top. And it feels really good. And I do feel like it's a role change. It's a shift from what we were doing before when we really cared too much about other people and it didn't serve them. It didn't serve us. It just created all this toxicity. And now I feel like this is a fun, playful, like go for it energy. Because also we have the moon sextiling Jupiter. So giving it a real nurturing energy, like that life-giving energy. And then we have the moon sextiling Mars. So it's really like, yeah, that's like, it's harsh energy, but there is a playfulness, there is a lightness to it, and there is a fun, aspect to it. And yeah, and we got the Queen of Pentacles that day. So it's like, it's like that give me money energy. I know what I want. I know how to, I know what I want. I know I want to get to the top. Don't get in my way. Like we have bad bitches there all day. You might meet a lot of them. You might see a lot of them, and you might be one of them. Okay. And then we have Saturday, June 18th. And I was thinking this is a day to create alchemy. This is a day to, we're creating fireworks and we're creating something um, just just out of like, so I was thinking like we might have a little bit with this moon in Aquarius and all of this air energy. But I was thinking for Saturday, um, we have some of this like flaky resistance. We have the moon squaring the north node, the moon squaring Venus, conjuncting Saturn, and we also have, I don't know, it was, and so because of there was something about this energy that it was like, let's plan a date. Like there's a structuring energy, but it's like, well, only plan a date if it's what we want. And so there, I feel like there's this back and forth, like flakiness type of resistance, because we also have Venus squaring Saturn. And so it's like, yes, I'll do this, but only if it's what I want. And the moon is in the going to be in the last degrees. So we're feeling like super unsupported because we're not quite getting the date that we want or the plans that we want or the relationships we want that we wanted to do. And then we get more into our emotions. So later in the day, we're going to have the moon going into Pisces. And that's where we get this groundedness. Like earlier in Saturday, I feel like there's a flakiness going on. And then the moon goes into Pisces, and emotions are more grounding. They bring us down to earth. They make things happen as well. You know, getting into intimate relationships is all about fueled by emotions. The moon is not supported though by Jupiter. And so we may feel a little lost. And then, you know, so I felt like there was going to be like an emotional thinking because we have the moon squaring Mercury. So that's like we want to make plans, but they're emotionally fueled and we can't really think straight and we're feeling super emotional. And so I think we get to a point where we're like, just give me what I want. I just want what I want. And like we start crying maybe. But maybe that moon in Pisces actually helps us to figure out what we want. Because maybe with the moon in Aquarius, we were feeling kind of up in our heads about things and feeling very rigid. And now it's like, but if we're too rigid, we can't quite relax. We can't quite like, you know, rigidness doesn't relax, right? So we can't quite get what we want unless maybe we have a softer, receptive energy. And so getting into our emotions, I feel like is going to help us create alchemy. Like there was that flakiness, maybe there's this rigidness, but all of a sudden our emotions, create luck and beauty, and like they help us get where we need to go. And so maybe that emotional intensity helps us to create fireworks, helps us to connect with people, helps us to open up and let them know what's happening, helps us to get that physical comfort and pleasure at seeing Venus, and helps us move forward in our plans. Okay, then for Sunday, June 19th, I'm thinking that emotional thinking continues. We still have the moon squaring Mercury, and it's making a sextile from Venus. And yeah, so there is a sextile to Neptune, so maybe some disillusionment, but the moon square Mercury can also mean that as well. Just feeling emotionally like all over the place, and not quite being able to think clearly. Like we're tired of, I guess, being too rigid and not quite indulging. And we're ready to get what we want. But I feel like we have the Eight of Wands come out for this day when I was reflecting on the forecast. And I feel like it's sudden plans coming out of nowhere, like someone or something like appears out of nowhere, and it could be disruptive, but it could be something beautiful and amazing that happens at just the right time that we weren't expecting. Like that's the feel that I'm getting. Like something like pulls through for us, and something perfect and beautiful and playful and like emotionally fulfilling. That we weren't expecting. We got a message at the right time. We bump into the right person at just the right time and like fall in love, or we bump into a person that helps us like find the right job, or you know, it's just like right place, right time. Like we think like maybe nothing's happening. Maybe our plans did fall through for yesterday, or maybe we did have those plans, but we're still feeling super emotional and maybe it didn't quite hit the spot or something. But then something else, something new and refreshing comes out of nowhere, and it's super exciting and it changes our plans, and it's this like hit of luck. I feel like we have Temperance and Eight of Wands at the end of the week. So there's is this sense of luck and like looking at the signs of the universe and really tuning into like this may be something more. Like the universe is delivering us to something. So paying attention to our intuition, and those intuitive nudges to do things, that turn into luck, that turn into something really beautiful. All right, let's get into this week's forecast to see what's happening, what's going on, what's the energy of the week. And also I'm looking at situations that may come up. I'm looking at advice on how to deal with them. I think it's going to be a pretty feel-good week. I think if you have a lot of empathy for people and people have abused that, there's going to be a rude awakening for people. You know, it's like people who are loving and caring have a cutthroat energy, in a healthy way, and you know, feel like you have a right to protect your energy. I think that's actually going to be really good, and that's why we can enjoy this energy. But people who are cutthroat, we may have to like actually like maybe we're going to do a little fighting with them, keep them at bay, you know? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Lucky week. It's our lucky week this week. I feel like we're gonna get some hidden surprises. We have two cards, Jupiter cards, and they are reversed. And I always like to see these particular cards reversed because when they're reversed, it's like hidden surprises that we saw come out of nowhere. So it's luck. It's luck. Yeah, we got this Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, and part of that luck is because we are digging our heels in, and being true to ourselves, being true to what we value, being true to our souls, and not budging on that, not budging what we want. Like there is this like trueness to our soul, finding wisdom in that, and really like if a person's not treating us right, maybe before like we were like so eager to have them, maybe we felt alone and not connected to other people, and it's like we just wanted to have any connection rather than none, and now we're like any connection is not better than none. A good connection that's healthy and shows my worth and my value is better. Otherwise, I'm just gonna read a book. Like I'm seeing this book pop out in this card. Otherwise, let me just read a book. Let me just, oh, and I will give an image at the end of this video. I'll show you the cards after, but it's like we're turning things around in our head. Instead of like running after people, we're like, there's a good book I want to read. There's a video I want to watch. Like, I'd rather do nothing than go out with you because you suck, basically. And we're getting into our mischievous, like trickster energy, that Hermes, Anubis there. We're getting into our trickster energy, our, there's like the snake is popping out to me, like our shadow energy, like that dark feminine type of energy, but we're also keeping a sense of compassion. It's not like we are heartless without compassion, but we're taking the daggers out in order to protect ourselves. We have that Mars in Aries, and there's a nurturing energy to us being feisty and cutting people off. And Jupiter in Aries means we're going to have good fortune and blessings from cutting people off that messed with us too much. And we do know what we want. Most planets are in domicile, so we're not like misreading things. We may misread things with like maybe our idea of pleasure because Venus is on the North Node, but she's going to be moving away from like the worst part of it. Like she hit the North Node during that full moon, and now she's moving away from it. So we're going to start to see things a lot clearer. So we're not misreading things. Like if somebody is acting messed up and they're trying to tell us like they're not really like that or they're not doing it, but we're seeing it and we're observing that they're lying, they're mistreating us, they're doing things in an underhanded way and being manipulative. Like we can see that. So bye, like we don't need you. Okay. So why these situations coming up, we have the Ace of Pentacles, and I think we do see the bigger vision and the bigger picture. We're not getting distracted by like the things that like shiny objects in front of us that are just temporary, and are just going to give us like a temporary comfort, but we know after we're not going to feel good. It's like, maybe I'm thinking like the energy of like going back to a job or hooking up with an ex or like going out with a friend that we're this not doesn't quite work. But we don't want to feel alone. But we're realizing, or maybe we want to like eat food, but like that makes us feel good, but we have like a fitness goal or something. It's like it's going to feel good temporarily, but in the long term, it's not going to feel good. And with that Venus and Taurus square Saturn, we want what's going to feel good for the long term. We don't want what's going to feel good in a very like temporary way. We have the Ace of Pentacles. We want what's going to serve us. And I think we are saying goodbye to people who are toxic, maybe have addiction problems with the King of Cups. We are blocking out people who are toxic, negative, who have put us in dangerous situations where we haven't felt safe, and who are only in it for themselves. And, like they're cray cray. We're cutting out the psychos, right? We're not letting them come through. We're not letting people who manipulate us, no matter how much we want them, no matter how much we thought we loved them. We can see this person for who they are, and we're cutting them out. Yeah, and the advice for the week is don't think too much. Get into your body. Like don't overthink things. Get into your emotions, and yeah, like don't think too much about the right way to do things or the right way to move forward. Like really be grounded in your body, have a sense of where you are, trust your intuition. Like there's the groundedness in the body from Venus and Taurus, and there's also with like the Sagittarius and the Aries energy of just like following your intuition, doing what's right in the moment. Like you just know what to do and do it. Don't get too up into your head. And the air energy is just going to help us structure and be able to plan things in a free and light way, and be okay with being harsh on people. And it is going to be a new way of doing things for us. This is going to be like there is part of it that's outside of our comfort zone, but that's going to get us to the place where we want to go. Keep your feet on the ground, keep grounded, do what makes you feel alive, light up, and passionate. With that fire energy, it's about following your heart, whatever, and that means like whatever lights you up like a light bulb, the things you love, you need to go for it. And don't be afraid of this shifting change of energy. We are in this Gemini season, and so maybe it's like we're confused about our identity. Like, who are we? Who are we? We're doing these bold and brave things that we've never done before, and you are all of these things. The soul is omnipotent. It can be all places at once. And when we're in Gemini, Gemini helps us have this full like that omnipotent experience of being all places at one time as a person, in a body. And so that's why Gemini energy can be a little like, we're like, are you like this? But now you're like this. Well, that's going to be us. We are all of these different things and all of these different characters. And it's the soul coming in and being playful and expressing itself. And so the outcome of the week, we had that Eight of Wands at the end of the week. And I feel like there's going to be this beautiful, happy surprise. There's going to be this wish fulfillment come true that freaking comes out of nowhere. And it's because we demanded what we wanted. We cut off these relationships that are toxic. We told people to go away. We're okay with being in that bad bitch energy. We're okay with going after what we want. And we're not letting people tell us we're selfish anymore. I really doubt that most of the people watching this video and watching this forecast are really helpful or selfish people. You're probably someone who does reflect on things. If you're interested in tarot and you're interested in astrology, and you probably feel people's energy, and there is a part of you that wants to help them and fix people. And I think for a lot of us, now we're realizing that we can't fix people. They're responsible for themselves. We're also responsible for ourselves. So we've been neglecting ourselves, and maybe sometimes we're not acting the right way because we're not protecting our energy properly. It's really important, like when you're into like intuition, right? And divination, that you protect your energy. You have a right to protect yourself. You have a right to cut people off who are being negative. You have a right to not doubt yourself and your intuition. Your intuition is probably pretty on point. It's pretty pretty strong. And, you know, there are people around you that, that have you doubt themselves because they're confused. I don't think it's just a malicious nature. I do think that they're confused. But it's kind of like an animal that goes rabid. Like when an animal has rabies, you can't talk to that animal. Like you kind of have to put that animal down, you know? Like we have to like, there is a sense of there's a time to fight and there's a time to be vicious, and that's now in order to protect yourself and to protect the people you love. Sometimes when we let people in who are toxic, we're doing a disservice, because it's not just that we're not protecting ourselves, but maybe like we have children or friends or other people, and it's our job to show them that it's okay to protect yourself. And I think like just with this, like valuing yourself, demanding value, um, demanding people that come and treat you with your worth and help you to value yourself in your relationship, and caring a little bit less. Um, and just doing what feels right and what feels good to you, and getting in your body and really seeing things for what they are and seeing what you want, we're going to have those hidden surprises. So this week, it's a good week to have a good week, and I feel like we're going to feel really good this week. All right, guys. So I'm going to turn the camera over to the cards very shortly, but just a quick reminder that if you like this forecast, this video, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified. If you found it helpful, share it out. It may be helpful to other people as well. And I'll see you guys in the next video.